In the far reaches of the Andromeda Cluster, the Council of Alien Civilizations convened on the marble world of Vetra. Its spires of crystal reflected the pale light of the twin suns, casting intricate shadows across the gathered delegates. They were not here to admire architecture. They were here to discuss the threat that had emerged from the Sol system. The human species had long been considered primitive by interstellar standards. They were slow to leave their home planet, lacking advanced bioengineering or the psychic links many other species relied on. Yet the reports had been unanimous. Humans were disrupting entire sectors, defeating well-organized fleets. In defying every conventional tactic, the council debated in tones that shimmered with disdain. No doctrine, one of the delegates said, her voice like wind over glass. No guidelines for war, yet they succeed where others fail. Their actions are chaotic and dangerous, another replied. Chaos is not strength. They are unpredictable, yes, but surely they cannot withstand the forces we control. A human fleet had been sighted near the asteroid belt of Ralvan, and despite the overwhelming size of the Zernian forces sent to intercept them, the humans had not only survived, but had routed the enemy fleet with minimal losses. The aliens could not understand it. Their sensors recorded conventional movements, yet humans acted in ways that violated every tactical expectation, Commander. Elias of the human fleet stood on the bridge of the flagship, the Resolute staring at the holographic map of the battle zone. His crew was tense but disciplined, not because of strict protocols, but because humans had a different kind of Adura harmony of instinct, reasoning, and improvisation. Report, Elias said. Enemy fleet approaching from Vector 9, the tactical officer replied, her fingers dancing over the controls. They have shields raised and weapons primed. Elias leaned back, watching the holographic display. The Zernians were confident. They always were when facing humans. That confidence, however, would be their undoing. Prepare the decoy drones, Elias ordered. Initiate unpredictable patterns and keep them guessing. Humans did not rely on rigid formations or endless simulations. They relied on intuition, adaptability, and above all, courage. They did not wait for instructions from doctrine manuals. They created solutions in real time, learning from the environment and their opponents. The battle began with a storm of energy beams and missiles. Yet the human ships moved like living shadows, evading attacks that would have obliterated any other species. One by one, Zernian vessels exploded, their formations collapsing as they tried to anticipate movements that had no precedent in the council chambers on Vetra. The delegates watched the battle unfold through the interstellar relay. Murmurs filled the room. They fight without guidelines, an elder said. They are unshackled by protocol. They improvise and yet survive. It is frightening. The humans themselves did not see the battle as extraordinary. They saw it as a challenge, an opportunity to protect themselves and those they cared for. On the bridge of the Resolute, Elias watched a young pilot weave through the enemy lines with a daring maneuver that no simulation had ever suggested. Good work, he said. Always remember the rules are suggestions, not limits. By the time the battle ended, the Zernian fleet had suffered catastrophic losses. The surviving ships retreated in disarray, and the human fleet moved on, leaving no pursuit behind. It was a quiet victory, yet it sent ripples across the galaxy. The council convened again. This time, the discussion was different. They are evolving strategies mid-conflict, one delegate said. They learn instantly. No species behaves like this. No species adapts without pre-existing guidelines. Perhaps another said slowly, they do not need them. Perhaps their strength is in not having restrictions at all. On Earth, humans were not aware of the reputation they had earned. They trained, yes, and studied past wars, but they did not bind themselves to unchanging manuals. They experimented, debated, and sometimes disagreed in the heat of action. Yet they trusted each other to make choices that no one could predict in advance. Elias considered the humans' philosophy as he looked at the stars. War was not a set of rules to follow blindly. It was a challenge to the mind, body, and spirit. A contest where creativity and willpower could overcome superior firepower. The humans. Next engagement came in the Corin Nebula. where a coalition of alien species had gathered to suppress them. The nebula was a labyrinth of ion storms and gravity wells, a place where conventional fleets could not operate efficiently. Human ships dove into the nebula without hesitation, exploiting natural phenomena as weapons. Ion storms masked their approach, gravitational eddies flung them past enemy sensors. And in the confusion, they struck with precision that seemed impossible. Every move was a gamble, yet every gamble was calculated instinctively. A young human tactician, observing the fleet from the bridge, said, "They can anticipate what we cannot, but they cannot predict us. That is our edge." Elias smiled. That was exactly the point. Humans thrived not because they were perfect or omniscient, but because they were unpredictable, adaptive, and unafraid. When the nebula engagement ended, the aliens suffered another humiliating defeat. The Council on Vetra was in uproar. They are not bound by rules, not by doctrines, not by the codes that govern civilized warfare, a counselor cried. We cannot prepare for them because they do not act like anyone else. It is terrifying, another admitted. Yet there is an elegance in it. They are human. Across the galaxy, humans continued to expand cautiously, exploring, colonizing, and defending themselves. Their victories were not born of arrogance or superiority of technology alone, but of something more intrinsic, the refusal to be constrained by prescribed limitations. Where others saw chaos, humans saw opportunity. Where others hesitated because a rule forbade a certain action, humans acted because it was necessary. In the years that followed, human fleets became legendary. Entire civilizations reconsidered their approach to war, realizing that rigid strategies and guidelines could be weaknesses, not strengths. Humans did not invent war, but they redefined it through flexibility, ingenuity, and an indomitable will. On a distant moon, orbiting a dying star, Elias observed a young cadet mastering the art of improvisation in simulated combat. "Remember," he said gently, "guidelines are useful, but they are not limits. You decide what must be done in the moment. Trust yourself, trust your team, and never forget that adaptability is your greatest weapon." The cadet nodded, wide-eyed, absorbing the lesson that had made humanity a force unlike any other in the council halls of the alien civilizations. Discussions continued. Some argued for preemptive measures against humans. Others admitted defeat before a fight had even begun. The consensus was unavoidable. Humans were an enigma, a species that could not be contained, constrained, or predicted. And that was exactly how humans wanted it. For humans, war was not about following rules. It was about survival, innovation, and the courage to act when no guideline existed. It was about bending circumstances to their will, trusting their instincts, and embracing the unknown with clarity and purpose. The galaxy had faced humans, and it had learned the same truth over and over. Humans did not need guidelines for war. They had something far more powerful: